Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Trader's Mind Chat live show. Now, today we've got a very special show for you because we are continuing our basics of risk management course that we've been doing here live for everybody. And today's live stream is about multi-time frame analysis and the basics of multi-time frame analysis. And it's one of those fundamental things that help me get out of this current market environment. In fact, let me drag my screen over here and show you exactly what the market happens to look like right now. Um, yeah, this is a monthly time frame, and over here you can see it even more over here on a daily time frame, how the market, especially here on the Russell, right? Like, look at that, how the Russell is just kind of fallen and fallen almost off a cliff here, but increased volatility, but lots of stuff here. Lots of stuff going on this chart. But what I want to give you guys today are the basics. How do you do this multi-time frame analysis to help avoid getting caught in a mess like this? So that said, let's get started. By the way, too, for those of you that are joining us live, go ahead at any time that you have questions, go ahead and put them into that comment section, and I will do my best to answer your questions on the fly. We'll always have that open Q&A at the end of the live stream, but as you have questions as we go along, just go ahead, put them into the chat. Oh yeah, and if you could hit that like button and throw a comment in there, that does help blast this out to more people, and so you'll be helping us out that way. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. So you might be asking yourself, what is this that I'm looking at? Well, you're looking at a set of weights, right? And so you have one weight on this side over here that is pretty big, pretty heavy, and then you have another weight over here that is small and light, and well, they're sitting on a fulcrum, right? And you might be like, well, what in the heck is the point of all this? The point is that each of them has weight, and each of them can impact the other, especially when it's set up like this. So our job as traders is to find the tipping point when we are looking at charts and we're looking at different time frames. We started to look at some of the basics in the past several live streams that we've done. But when we're looking at across the time frames, when we're looking at monthly charts, when we're looking at weekly charts, when we're looking at daily charts, we're looking at things across a spectrum. And as you change your perspective, you could change your perception of what exactly is going on. Should I be getting long? Should I be getting short? Should I be getting the heck out of the way? Right? And in doing this and doing this multiple time frame analysis, that's what this is going to help you with. So just like we needed the forest, the trees, and the leaves to gauge the seasons, as we spoke about in previous live streams, so we need the monthly, weekly, and daily charts of the market. Each of them is telling us a story. So when you come here and you're looking at this chart here, what kind of stories are you seeing? Well, we're looking at a monthly chart here. This is yeah, that doesn't really matter what it is, but we'll look at monthly charts, weekly charts, daily charts. Based on what you know so far, what kind of stories do you see here? Right? What's the story? What's the story that this chart is telling us right now, right over here on this side of the spectrum here? Go ahead, type it into the chat. Let me know what you're thinking. It's showing us a downtrend, right? Showing us a pretty severe downtrend at that. It's making a series of lower highs, lower lows, right? Lower high here, lower low, pretty major sell-off over there on that monthly time frame. How about this? This is the same index, but it's a weekly time frame. Same block of time too, right? Like so same period. What are you seeing here? You seeing the same thing? You seeing something different? Well, what do you think? In its most recent trend, right, like coming up here off those lows, like it actually started a short-term uptrend where you started to have this series of higher highs and higher lows, and it was doing that for about a month. Now, when you come over here and you start to look at this daily chart, right? Like again, same time frame or same period, different time frame. Looking at it in all these different perspectives. What's the story on this chart? What's the story that you're seeing on this chart? Kind of similar, right? You're seeing an uptrend with higher highs, higher lows. Well, what else are you seeing here? Are you seeing perhaps a little bit of a change in character from over here to over here as we progress higher, right? The price bars themselves, they're getting a little bit less volatile. They're getting a little bit smaller, a little bit tighter around each other. You might even look at this and start to think, oh, this is actually starting to form a little bit of a sideways trend. Interesting, right? It's interesting how these things work that way. The more subtleties that we're able to pick up on, generally the more subtleties that we could pick up on, the better. You don't want to go overboard with any of this stuff either. You want to have a s- a few things that you want to pick up on, not like price and volume, or at least these are some of the things that I like to look at: price and volume, and the general character of how price and volume is moving. Is volatility increasing? Is it decreasing? Is it getting tight and controlled or wide and loose? Things like that. Next up is what we're seeing across the time frames, right? So thinking back for a moment to what we were looking at on the monthly, weekly, and daily charts, what were we seeing across those time frames, right? We were seeing the on the monthly time frame, it was in a downtrend. On the weekly time frame, we saw uptrends, and on the daily time frame, we also saw uptrends. So when you are thinking about uh, whether the weather conditions here for the market, are they stormy or is it transitioning into calm? Right? Like it's in doing this overall analysis of starting to see like, well, how are things transitioning? This is what is going to help you figure out if right now this is a time to buy, or this is a time to sell, or this is a time to just stay out altogether. Each time frame affects the others. Right? Like, so when we start to see a major bottoming in the market, you'll start to see that initial turn on the daily time frames. But as the as the major time frames, as the monthly charts are broken, as the weekly charts are broken, that's when you're going to start to see some of the most severe breaks in the market, just like how we saw in the previous slides, just like how we will see on some of these other ones here, right? Like when we were looking at this a moment ago, right? Here's a daily chart of the S&P 500. Here is a monthly chart of the S&P 500. The monthly doesn't quite look as bad, right? Like you broke into fresh all-time highs. You're at the low of the range, but as far as the daily chart goes, it looks kind of gnarly, a definite change in character from what it was back here. How about the Russell, right? The Russell, pretty steep decline so far. Declined, how much did it decline? It declined about 11.5% from its peak. Take a look at that on a monthly time frame. And it was in this basing area. It attempted to break out earlier this month, and that breakout failed. And now it's back into its range right here. Come back to this. When we're seeing congruence across time frames, we tend to have smooth sailing. When we have choppiness between the different time frames, that's where you start to see um, a lot more discord, right? Like, when you start to see one time frame moving up, another time frame moving sideways, one time frame moving down, that it's kind of rocking that proverbial boat. And the more discord you have, the more chop you're going to see. And so it's one of the things that I like to track uh, every single day. All right. So this is an example of a spreadsheet that I share with members. In fact, well, why don't I zoom in a bit? Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Let me know if you could see that okay. So one of the things that I like to do, like I like to track the trend, right? So are we moving up? Are we moving down? Are we moving sideways? And so I have a U for uptrend and S for sideways, and I have a D for down. And so what do we have? We have uptrends still on the S&P and the Nasdaq. We have sideways on the Russell, the NYSE, and the Dow. That's on the monthly time frames. Then when we come over here to the weekly time frames, starting to see sideways trends on the S&P and the Nasdaq, downtrends on the Russell, NYSE, and Dow. And then over here on the daily time frames, yeah, you're seeing sideways trends on the S&P and Nasdaq, downtrends on the Russell, NYSE, and Dow again. And it's that level of discord, that level of disarray that's makes there be a lot of chop. That's where you could find very few stocks, right? And the handful of stocks that you might be trading. Maybe you saw this one, right? I've been in cash for the past uh say week, maybe coming on a week and a half. But this is where you see something that looks good, like a Zim, right? Ticker ZIM, break out and then pull right back in, right? Pull right back in and squat, and it doesn't look like it would have hit a stop loss. It didn't undercut this low over here. But at the same time, yeah, just gave back all of yesterday's gains. Here was another pretty nice looking setup, right? Recent IPO, Pubmatic, PUBM, broke out earlier this morning, and it proceeded to run up, break out. If you take off gains at about 1 times the amount that you've risked, so now we're talking a little bit more tactical, a little bit more advanced strategy, if you will, then you would have locked in something. But even if you locked in something, you would have had to have also raised your stop right away to break even. Or on this trade, it reversed midday, hit stopped people out that had their stop down here, and now it's a little bit below the buy point. Wild, wacky action, and it's a result of basically what we've been discussing here. Right? Like all these different time frames all getting kind of commingled here, and it's they're in disarray. So the next steps for you guys, right? And we'll do an open Q&A next, but for you to really go and to put this kind of action into work, you need to be the one to go onto these charts. And I would recommend starting with the major indexes. Start with the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Russell, the NYSE, and the Dow. Take a look at each of them and start with the monthly charts. Start with the story that they're telling, and then move to the weekly, then move to the daily, and you could even go back in time, right, and see what was it like in 2020, what was it like in 2019, in 2018, etc. Keep doing that, and that's how you're going to put in the reps and learn a lot quicker, and you'll be able to put this to use a lot faster. Hit me up with your questions in the chat right now, and also want to put this out there as well, is for you guys to start to use the Traders Mind Chat room, right? Start to use the Traders Mind Chat room. It's over on StockTwits, and what the Traders Mind Chat room is, it's a spot for you to take this learning and start to learn in a group with other people. Just getting that room open for you guys now so you could take a look and see what it is. It's right over here. I believe I do have a description, a link to it in the description of the live stream. But here, I'll add it for you guys over here too, for you guys that are watching live. So if you go and you sign up for this room, you're going to get daily access to me to ask questions. You're going to get part of it. You're going to get your community, so that way you could learn along with other people. And you'll be able to request topics for future live streams. So whatever it is that you have questions about, want to learn more about, maybe something that you're struggling with, you put it in here, you get your answers right away. And if it's appropriate for a future live stream, then hell yeah, we're going to do a live stream together and work through some of this stuff. So that is about it for this live stream. Again, let me know if you guys have any questions at all. Feel free to drop your questions into the chat. If you're watching this later on, put it into the chat. I read all of the questions there. And of course, hop into the Traders Mind Chat room. That's going to be one of the best ways for you to get a hold of me, get a hold of some of your peers, and really take this stuff and learn together. All right, that's it for today. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you back here again tomorrow. Take care. Much love, everybody, and peace out. Hey, thanks so much for sticking around to the end. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button down below and become a part of the Mara Wealth community. And make sure that you check out some of the other videos on the channel. They're exactly what you need to see. And leave a comment down below. I read all of them. Leave a comment.